Newcastle United victors over Everton at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, winning 4-1. We're going to talk about that today. But the next rivals, Tottenham, come to St. James's Park on Tuesday. Can Newcastle repeat the same amazing performance and the same amazing result? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks. All right, folks. And literally, we started off with the camera doing the blinkers already. So I hope that is not a signal or indication of how the show is going to go. But anyway, you know how we do things with technical difficulties or with no technical difficulties. The show must go on. And gosh, I'm actually baking in here, so let me take off my jacket. But guys, do let me know how you're doing. Like, share, and subscribe as always, and let me know how you're feeling about the result against Everton. 4-1 victors as always, as we all know. Absolutely incredible. And look, in tonight's show, as you know, we are going to be talking about the game against Everton. We're going to be reviewing that, and we are going to be doing a preview for the game against camera gets sorted out against Tottenham this tomorrow Tuesday, and we've got a special guest, Mr. Ashmatic, coming on later on to do the preview with him. So you know he's a friend of the channel. I'm with him on Spurs Kings TV, and I'm super looking forward to a tactical breakdown with him, as you guys know. But I don't want to take too long because I want to. There's so much to talk about in this Everton game, but as always, already got folks in the chat. Good to see you, Aaron. God bless you. Hope you're well, sir. Good to see Michael as well. God bless you, Michael. Evening, Philip. Hope all is well. What are your aspirations with the 4 games in 14 days? That's a fantastic question. What are the 4 games in 14 days? Let me see on my screen with you guys, and then we'll get into the Tottenham game. What are my aspirations for the 4 games in 14 days? Now, let me see. Can you guys see this? Yeah, you can see this. Actually leads me on to the Everton game as well. So, Newcastle United matches. So we've got Everton, obviously. We've played Everton, excuse me. Then we've got Tottenham and Burnley at home. And if you mean literally, I don't know if you're including Champions League in that, but Leverkusen away and then Sunderland away as well. Big games. Really 5 games. I'll put that. So I know it's the 4 games, but really it's 5 games if you include Fulham in the League Cup. And look, I always hate talking. Not hate. That's a strong word. I don't like talking too far ahead, but I try to do as much data and evidence and performances backing it up, but certainly hope to qualify into the next round of the League Cup. I hope to get some points against Leverkusen, and really the games against we've got 2 home games against Spurs and against Spurs and against what do you call it, Burnley. Those are games of opportunities as well, like to get some points on the board. So has to be opportunities for us really to progress in terms of up the league as well. So really, I look at all of this as opportunities for Newcastle to progress. Actually, I've got some stats as well, so I want to talk about later on that kind of show that essentially that I think Newcastle are in a position to actually kick on as well. Michael says me too. Home games and Champions League is a must, and the derby, mate. Yeah, absolutely. We have to crush Sunderland. Whether we have to turn this, we have to turn the stadium of light into the stadium of lights off. Uh, for real. God bless you now, Kane. Good to see you. Big up, mate. Good to see you now. I hope you're well. God bless you. All right, so Spurs, not Spurs, Everton. Let's begin with the review of the Everton game, and then let's begin with and then we do the preview, tactical preview with Ashmatic himself. So definitely looking forward to that. Um, uh, he will be coming a little bit later. Okay, so as always, guys, because I've got so many like clips and stuff like that, I'm going to try and do my best to kind of sum things up a little bit. But let me before I get into that, let me just summarize the stats before I break down the game itself. Let me summarize the stats before I was gonna do it the other way around, but I thought I'm a little bit more comfortable just looking at the stats first. Because look, the main stat is the most important stat or metric is, come on, give me Newcastle 4-1. That's the most important metric, the goals. We got more goals than them. So 4-1 is a great start. And away from home, especially, we know. And look, if we just harken back quickly to our match preview, is, we talked about the saying, okay, well, after all that we've talked about in terms of away games and why we haven't been winning away games, and how the Man City game, and even I'll include the Marseille game, I thought we had a good away performance against Marseille. The results don't reflect that because obviously of a massive error. Essentially, this Everton game where we knew we had our fullbacks, healthy. We were going to come in with a fairly healthy squad. Essentially, there's no excuses. I think Adrian Pick, I don't know if he's here, but God bless him, said, look, essentially all the stars have aligned. this was it. And it's turned out to be that way, that essentially, yes, where things did really come did with all of our, with our players, with our tactics, everything did come. Everything that we needed to work in our favor did, but it worked because we had the right players in the right areas, and we showed levels. We showed who we were, and I thought, and it made sense. Like it was a relief, as it was a relief because had we lost, I felt like we would have been more like, okay, there is worry. We know our strategy, our tactics, our approach to games. It really is, even with our full squad of players, our depth, our bench, everything. There's an issue, and it's proved to be not the case, thankfully. But look, obviously, this is Super Score ratings. We'll go more into the kind of different players. But let me know, whilst we're talking, guys, who your man of the match was. Obviously, Super Score got Lewis Miley as man of the match. I gave mine as Malik Chow. No, it's not Lewis Miley. Sorry, it was Malik Chow. They got Malik Chow. I got the wrong player there, because they've both scored so high. And in fact, what was good to see, someone else said it in one of my comments on I can't remember if it was on TikTok or on YouTube, but they were saying it's such a what's lovely to see is that it's so hard to pick pick a man of the match because so many players played well. You got an argument for Lewis Miley, you got an argument for Malik Chow, who I selected. You got an argument for Lewis Hall, even Bruno Gomes. I felt, I watched the game again the second time round today, and he is just, just so important for us. He's the heartbeat of the team, really. Voltemada with his another highlight reel of a goal, really was absolutely phenomenal. And just to highlight as well, we're going to be talking about our fullbacks quite a bit today, and this is one of the outcomes of having our fullbacks back. Where is it? Here we go. Let me just go down to the average position. So we're on the right here. We're in the white, from going from down to up, and Everton are from up going down. And Everton looked fairly well structured to me as well. That they still were well structured team. You can see like their number 11, Tiano Barry, who had a decent game, spent quite a bit of time in our penalty box, supported by Dewsbury Hall, who I think was their best player, was a constant threat. Jack Grealish on the left. We talked about him at length. You can see him holding that line, but he was prevented from really. He was kind of on the edge of our box, but thankfully not too much. And on the other side, Ilman Jai were able to keep him away for a little bit as well. Liman Jai, excuse me. But they still had a decent performance. Thankfully, we were just better quality. We were better and we showed quality. And I wanted to highlight this. I'm going to be talking about our fullbacks quite a bit today. And if you can see Voltemada, how can I show his thing? His heat. Where's the thing that shows their heat? He's got his heat map, but you can see him again here spending lots of time in the penalty box. And when he does drop in, it's not in our defensive third, it's in the third, in their defensive half, in the opposition half here. And why is that? On the left and on the right. Why is that? That's because our fullbacks, as you can see, Mr. Hall on the left, pushing up here. Mr. Livramento, look, he's spending way more time in the opposition half again than in his own half, even though there's quite a bit of heat there. Again, pushing up, which allows the likes of Lewis Miley, who had a fantastic game and was really the base of our midfield, but again, spending a lot of time in the opposition half. Bruno Gomes spending some time in the opposition half as well, but also doing some defensive work here. Joe Linton pushing up as well. A lot of that kind of those guys pushing up, but also it allowed that had the ripple effect on the likes of Barnes pushing in as well. Here you can see him spending time in that penalty box where we want them to be. We know from our previous analysis that we had barely anybody spending any time in anybody's opposition box. And Elanga, who obviously got himself an assist, had a fine game himself. Good start. Good start. It's not his first start, but he had a good start. Actually, we're going to talk about that. And I thought Elanga had a really good game. I wanted to show some of their. I swear I wanted to show their. There we go. Individual stats. So that's Joe Linton here. Oh, there he is. Voltemada. So we talked about Voltemada. I'm kind of starting off with Voltemada because I feel like, not because of necessarily him as an individual, though I am talking about him as an individual, but I also feel like he's a symptom of, if the team is playing well, you're going to see a lot more red spots, as you see it here, red heat maps in the opposition penalty box, as opposed to in our half, which is important. And when that's happening, you can tell when you got this type of heat map, where even is in the penalty box or in and around the final third, that means our team structure and everything else are also pushing up and playing well. And we saw obviously earlier with Lewis Miley and others. So if we look at, for instance, going back to Voltemada, I wanted to see his how many shots did he have? So he's got himself one goal. They gave him an expected 0.59. Expected goals on target 0.73. He had 2 shots on goal, which is about average for him. But again, he's got a very, as Bobby Fairview always likes to point out, he's got a very high conversion rate as well. So absolutely brilliant from him. Lewis Miley, and look, when you got the likes of Lewis Miley, where is it? Tino Livramento pushing up like this, getting into the opposition half, as well as their ability in the defense, in their one-on-one defending, their recovery runs. Let me just show you Lewis Miley, and I'll go to Lewis Hall. Tino Livramento, great heat map. Lewis Hall was spending a lot of time in the opposition half. But look at this. Make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, you can see this. Back to surface score. Right, so you can see him. He himself, 2 out of 2 tackles. He had more tackles than that. I don't know how they did the tackling. 5 out of 7 ground duels won. He didn't win his aerial duels though, but thankfully not too much of a problem. Big chances created. He managed to create 2 for a left back, right? I keep telling people our left backs are our attacking midfielders. our number 10s. He created 2 big chances, 2 key passes, was able to get 5 crosses in, accurate passes, 89%, passing the opposition half, 81%. Right, and which is really, really good. 1 out of 1 long balls. That was the one to Harvey Barnes. We'll talk about that. 87 touches. 87 touches of the ball. Lewis Hall. That's phenomenal. Talking about dictating play, Lewis Hall, 87 touches. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. And also Mr. Livramento, 4 out of 4 tackles won. Brilliant. Clearances made, 5 clearances as well for himself. That's good defensive work. 5 out of 7 ground duels won. Accurate pass, 88%. Passing opposition half, 75%. 2 out of 2 long balls, 100% rate. 84 touches. Now, when you got both fullbacks, right back and left back, 87 touches, 84 touches, what does that mean? That means the attack is really, really balanced. So if you're Everton, how are you going to press? Which side do you defend? You're absolutely stretched each and every time. Now, Everton kept a good structure. We saw that, but it ended up really, our attack, we ended up really, really hurting them in terms of our ability to play either right or left forward. And it's not a surprise then, we had the rest of the team pushing up and doing really, really well. And we're going to do a close-up of that, actually, when we're talking about that. We're going to show a few highlights of that, of what that looked like in a moment. So just before we do that, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Oh, gosh, here we are. Chat. Aaron says, Ramsdale really changed our lives. We're going to go highlight of him. That split pass through the middle destroyed Everton's press and should have led to a goal. Yes, I know. And I got the one highlighted as well. Should led to a goal. Miley, for me, has to start against Spurs. I agree with that. Aaron again says it was also interesting to see as well the fullbacks inverting past the midfield. Yes, giving Voldemort more options to pick out and overloading the defense in central and wide areas. Beautiful to watch that was. Our fullbacks wouldn't be so forward without Ramsdale's distribution. He has to play it going forward. He just gives everyone a surety on the ball. Agree again. And Aaron says, never knew Miley was so good at deliveries as well, given how bad our deliveries have been this season. And I wonder, this goes back to, what's our set piece coach? Is it Mark Martin or Mark Mackin? Something like that. If, I think some of our deliveries are just down to seniority, Kieran Trippier, Tonali, who are obviously good at delivering. Kieran Trippier got an assist the other day. But maybe having a set piece coach actually sitting down and looking at who's got the best set pieces and just ranking it in order of quality has improved our deliveries. He gives us control, which we have been missing for a while. Absolutely. And so Lewis Hall and Miley both got assists as well as Elanga. And I think Dan Burn for the Miley goal. I think Dan Burn for the Miley goal has got an assist as well. So let's have a quick butchers of some of the stuff that we really liked seeing from them. We'll see how much I can get through the highlights before we get onto the game. But as pointed out, excuse me, I think right from the beginning, I was happy to see this. Literally from the opening of the game, share this tab instead. Let me make sure you guys can see that. So I'm not just watching. You can't see that, you see? See, that's why it's good to double check these things. And again, God bless Newcastle United for putting up these highlights. Newcastle fan channel here. I'm so happy, guys, that you guys do this. Please don't strike me. I'm going to be so happy praising our game. Please don't do anything to me. I'm here to praise our game, not to critique. I'll be a critical friend if I have to be. But today it's all praise. So, right. From the opening 20 seconds, we showed our intent and exactly what we're going to do. Obviously, the set piece, not the set piece. Everton get to take their set piece, get their free kick. They they long ball it into our half, and initially I thought it was going to be uh, initially I thought it was going to be a a foul here for Dan Burn. But if we look straight away, the ball's about to land. Obviously, we've got men back. Everton are about to set up. They've got a lot of guys in our end of the pitch. They've already got three at the back there, so they come here intent. They're at home. Here, I thought it was going to be a foul on Dan Burn. It wasn't. But the first thing, the ball's about to land onto Miley, and then before getting off to Elanga. But I want us just to highlight how exactly the intent that we need, how we were from the beginning going to show that we were going to get the best out of Automata, and really, which also had a ripple effect on Mr. Elanga from this. So the ball bounces, it gets off the back of I think Gilman Jar's head. It bounces kindly to Elanga, and you can see here, thankfully, Voltamada is not dropping in too far. He has to drop in a little bit, but not dropping in too far. He's keeping himself onto his man here, just pulling him back. Elanga picks it up. First touch. Doesn't wait to dribble it. Doesn't hold it up. Doesn't overhold it. First touch forward to Voltamada. Voltamada shows strength. Strength I didn't know that he had straight away. Like we know now, but like in the Premier League, I thought it would take time, but he's got it. Maneuvers his man. Elanga's on his feet. Elanga, just remember, this is just 2 seconds, 2-3 seconds. Elanga was back here. This is beautiful. He apps everything said go forward and make sure you're next to Voldemort. And I can just imagine that Eddie Howe drilled this into the players from the beginning. As soon as Voltamada gets the ball, get around him. And Voltamada holds off does brilliantly, rolling the defender. He's already pushed the ball up himself, driving into the other half. We've got three men behind him, but right next to him, Elanga's about to take over because he's just motoring. And you can see, and then the Voltamada with the visions, in his last action, gets a nice pass. And the thing is, the way of pass and the direction of the pass. It's all about technical quality that Voltamada has. He doesn't just pass it into Elanga or in a way that knocks his stride in any way, forces him to have to go wider than he needs to go, or pushes it too far forward, giving Milenko a chance. He pushes it almost right in that part where Milenko doesn't have the chances. Milenko that's chasing him, and he's no slouch, but it's right into Elanga's stride. He's able to push it forward, get himself in a position where he's now not quite one-on-one, but he's against the goalkeeper first 20 seconds of the game, and we get that shot off. And I think a more confident Elanga, perhaps, or in the Elanga that gets maybe had a run of getting 2 or 3 shots per game, possibly gets that in. But the intent is straight away. We're not messing about. Within one pass or forward to Voltamada. Voltamada turns, drives forward, passes it to Elanga's feet, who knocks it past Milenko into his path and go about 4 or 5 moves. 4 or 5 moves, we're already getting shots off into the opposition half. And I was really, really, really encouraged to see that from us. And obviously, leading up straight from that, and this is another way of, this is another angle of it. It's just like you can see it here, knocks over to Voltamada. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see it. As we can see, knocks over to Voltamada. Love how he rolled them. Absolutely. Look at the pace Elanga shows right here. And this was taught him from the beginning. Get next to Voltamada, and this is what happens. And it doesn't matter how well a team is structured, if you have players of individual qualities that are able to play alongside each other like that, you're going to be able to disrupt. I was going to say enemy lines, but opposition. What do you call it? Opposition lines. Now we saw as well, and this leads up to the corner where we got the goal off as well. And right away, by the way, obviously not Miley. Was it Miley to the corner? It was Miley to just the corner. I think a more Miley takes the corner. First of all, you see Lewis Hall here. It doesn't show it from this highlight, but he was right next to Pickford. He was standing on top of Pickford before doing a decoy run in front of the front three defenders here, dragging them out a little bit. But the ball goes over their heads, over the tops, and then you can see Mr. Malik Chow here and opening goal 1-0. Set piece goal, fantastic. So it's good to see us at number one getting quality balls into the net. And number two, obviously getting goals. And we did that. I think throughout the night, really, we had a lot of quality balls into the goal. Some of them that didn't even get in there as well. So I thought it was really, really good from that end as well. And big up Jam Stasher, God bless you. So it was really, really, again, I was super, super impressed with some of the work that we were doing. Now, there's so many other things I wanted to show. So we talked about a little bit about Tino and Hall, and I wanted to show this one where I think Aaron pointed it out. Them also. There's a couple of versions of them combined, and I'll show this one here. They combined for the Miley goal, but let me show you 349. Is it that one I want to show? There's a few of those. Let me show the 340. Let me show you just after the Miley goal. So we're already 1-0 up. I'll show you the part where we're 2-0 up. About how well, not only are they good on the overlaps, but how good they are in inverting. So let's put it here. Where is it? I thought it was really, really good to see. So by this stage, we are 2-0 up. Where is it? All right. So by this stage, we're 2-0 up. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. And because I wanted to show it because it shows again just how different Newcastle play with their fullbacks. And I had to say on a show recently, they were saying this is before we kind of obviously had our victories. I think we played Man City, and the Man City fan was saying, "I can't believe we lost to Newcastle. They've been getting beaten by West Ham. They've been getting beaten by Brentford. How did we lose to them?" And you know what? If you don't, what happened there? Oh, my camera's gone off again. And if you don't watch Newcastle, it's a fair comment to make, right? Like if I didn't know this, I'll be saying, I might be annoyed. But I said, look, our fullbacks make a heap difference to like you played. It was obviously the Man City game 1-2-1. I said you played a Newcastle with our first team fullbacks. We are a different animal when we have our fullbacks. Like the Newcastle, and I know it shouldn't, a poor West Ham team and an equal, and not equally. But, Brentford, we should get better results. Of all these things are true. But Newcastle are a different team. When I get my camera back, are a different team when we have our fullbacks. And this is an opportunity to see that and explain that. So, okay. This is, at this stage, we are 2-0 up. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. At this stage, we're 2-0 up. Now, the ball has been... Dan Burn has just passed the ball on the left here. Dan Burn has just passed the ball on to Lewis Hall, who's about to pass it to Joe Linton, I think it is. And you can see Barnes here, right next to right alongside Everton's number 4. He's about to drop in. So they're about to form a triangle. If anything, they've got a triangle already going on in a moment. But I love this work here that was done. So I think it's Joe Linton that picks it up. Already, Mr. Lewis Hall is on his bike. He's about to do an underlap. Mr. Barnes is about to drop in as well. They're about to form a triangle. And because Voltemada has got literally, how do I say it? He's got like a 5D chess brain. He already can see the move happening, and he puts himself right at the tip of that triangle, almost a diamond, and again forcing the centre back to follow him, because if the centre back doesn't follow him, it could be trouble. Already creating space, right? So all this from one move, triangle forced. Everton's fullback has pushed up. He's already scared because there's an open space right behind him that's been formed, which Voltemada is about to run into. He can see he's already scared because Lewis Hall is about to go into it. goes to Harvey Barnes. Lewis Hall continues to make the run. Now Voltemada drops in, and you can see this big space, big space now where literally Lewis Hall's about to run into. Barnes doesn't let it go to Lewis Hall. Should have, but it's fine. It didn't. It doesn't let it go. Still got a small triangle here with Voltemada. Voltemada is available to him. He lays off to Miley instead. Miley sees it here, but again, because the whole Everton, not the whole, but you had at least 4 or 5 Everton players move into that direction. What then that causes, and then the ball passing over to Miley, is you see this big, massive space that's been created, all because of that move by Voltemada and Lewis Hall going into that direction. 3, 4 Everton players have all been moved to that side. You can see an Everton player here, literally in the middle of the midfield, with his arms out, saying, "Where is everybody?" Well, they've all just been shifted over there because of the great movement from Voltemada, Hall and Barnes. And now they've got that space. Now you can see Livramento here inverting, getting himself into that picture frame. So again, Voltemada is never alone. He's never alone. He's got a player right next to him and right behind. And if you want some more options, you can see now also Elanga here with his hands up saying, "Look at the acres of space I've got. Look at the massive acres of space I got here. Please, can you get me the ball?" But the ball isn't going to go into there. Now, Miley is fortunate. The ball, his pass gets blocked, but he drops into Voltemada. It gets over to Voltemada, who has players around him, Hall and Livramento, not Barnes and Elanga, for instance, but Hall and Livramento are 2 fullbacks. 2 fullbacks are there. I was trying to say to our Man City guys, this is the difference our fullbacks made to her. You're not going to see God bless Mr. Byrne and Trippier, but you're not going to see Trippier and Byrne in these situations. So they're there. Voltemada's got the ball. Livramento's right next to him. Get it over to Livramento. Livramento now is there, gets the ball to Hall, who held his run, and it's got that big space and gap in the middle. By the way, Elanga's still saying, "Please, please, please, can you get me the ball?" Just for an added option. But again, great work here. I think the more we do this, the more these guys stay fit, stay strong, and get into situations like this, I think the more we'll make it out of there. Hall shows himself. He knows the option there is for Elanga. He chooses to take the shot. Fair play to him. We're tuning up by this stage. It gets deflected, hits the crossbar, and Elanga's like, "Come on, can you pass me the ball, please?" But even at the end of that move, Voltemada's there, Livramento's there, Hall obviously took the shot, Elanga's there. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful play. And this is the massive, massive difference our fullbacks make to our team, right? Yeah, even if when Harvey Barnes drops in or whoever else drops in, Elanga or whatnot, Voltemada drops in, the 2 fullbacks invert and push themselves up. They also inverted to stop the transition play from Everton as well, but they had this two-pronged approach that was absolutely phenomenal for us. I thought was really, 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 really good. I wanted to highlight that example. I'm going to show the Voltemada goal because I want to be able to also show. Was there another one I wanted to show? Yeah, there's a couple. There's what I'll show the Voltemada goal and one more before we go into the Tottenham game, but. The Voltemada goal was really, really good because I wanted to also talk about Elanga. Let me get onto that. I'll see a few people in the chat as well. So I want to, but once I do that, let me just make sure I know where's the Voltemada goal. That's at 501. Take this off, put that on. 501. Let me get to the Voltemada goal, and then I'll get to the chat. Okay, so that was the first highlight. All right, here we go. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Oh, big up Mr. Knowles, Liam Knowles. God bless you. Good to see you. Even if it's taken 3 months, but the team Eddie plan is nearly here. It's taken patience. It has taken patience. It's taken 3 months. And it's looking really, really, really good. Good to see you, Liam. Let me know what you thought of the match. And I've been keen to see from everyone. Again, who your man of the match was. Jam Stasher says, excuse me, uh, Tino or Elanga should be open, yeah? Tino or Elanga should be open, yeah? Let me know what you mean. I might have caught, maybe I feel like I've come in the middle of that conversation. Let me know. All right, so this is again, not again. Well, it's partly again. Remember the opening goal I showed you guys, not the opening goal, but the opening clip I showed you guys of our, like in the first 15, 20 seconds, we got that goal off. We got that shot against Everton in the first 20 seconds because Elanga picked up the ball from his own half and did a quick first time pass to Voldemort and drove up the field. Elanga does something similar here that opens up that was absolutely crucial and significant in terms of actually getting the ball to Voldemort in the first place. And just from the beginning, we've got what, 4, 7, 8, 9, 9 Newcastle players in our own half. So it's only Voldemort on in the Everton's half. Again, big up to Voldemort for not dropping in, but keep holding the line. There is at the same time how many Everton players? 6, 7 Everton players in our line. They're all trying to get back. The ball goes out. This is from from Ramsdale to Tino. Tino picks up the ball, scans his options, and Elanga starts making that move. He sees the space in behind Grealish here. He sees the space, and this is the part I like, where I feel like you have to rate, because this is not the first time he did this in this match, Elanga. His intelligence in seeing space. I'm still learning to know how much he knows about creating space, but seeing space and going into it and acting quickly upon it, he's very, very good at. He points to Livramento to where he wants it. He said, "Come on, I'm ready to go." Grealish is no slouch, but he's not going to have the legs to catch him, right? He gets onto Grealish's blind side, right behind him, says, "Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me." Remember, it's only Voldemort that's up there at the moment. Elanga drives into that space. Again, Livramento, great ball. Remember, Livramento got 2 out of 2 long balls here. I think this must have been one of them. Drives up the space, and great to see Voldemort. Where is he? He's not dropping in. He is holding the line, Erling Haaland style, and pushing himself up front. Great ball from Livramento. Again, into Elanga's path. But I think this is the, what's his name? Burnham from Everton. We talked about him. Didn't know too much about him. He was scored very, very low in terms of the sofa score rating. But Elanga gets into a battle with him. Again, shows his physicality, great strength, manages to get the ball off of him. And just because of that, actually, let me just before that. So he drives in. Baltimore holds his position, wins the ball from him. Nobody's marking Voldemort amazingly here. They're still trying to get back to him, but it's because he holds his line, keeps himself onside. Elanga wins the ball really, really well. Great layoff again as well. And the next part is absolute magic. And I was saying to a Tottenham fan on WhatsApp, this reminds you of Berbatov, yeah? Because look at this. He sees the goalkeeper off his line. Great first touch. Pickford is almost shocked to see that there's nobody around Voldemort. It's like he didn't know he was there. So his initial thing is just to drive at him and obviously to make the angle smaller. But Voldemort has got vision. Great first touch. Lets the ball bounce, and then just the smooth as you like volley over the top. Langa's still on the floor here. He's like, yeah, this is going in, isn't it? Great finish from Voldemort. Absolutely. That's just from, again, a pass from Ramsdale to Tino. Tino takes a couple touches onto Elanga, who wins the ball, gets it over to Voldemort. The move is finished within 10 seconds or something, 10, 15 seconds as well. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful goal from Newcastle United, and Elanga showing his worth, showing who he is, and we are and just again showing absolute play here. Before we get to that Tottenham review, I wanted to show one more highlight that I really was again highlighted. There's a couple of things that I highlighted from it as well, and it's the Ramsey passing, we talked about it, and Voldemar vision. 8:52. Ramsey passing and Voldemar vision, and there's more of it. I saw only two of them of the Ramsdale passing. I almost saw only two of them in this game, but they were worth waiting for. Absolutely worth waiting for. Let me get that here. 8:52. It didn't end up in a goal, but it was a very good indication of what Newcastle can do. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, so yeah, that's the goal. Dewsbury scored. By the way, Dewsbury Hall scored an absolute like Bergkamp-esque goal, really, as well. Right, Ramsdale. This is what we've been begging to do for absolutely ages. Is this a goalkeeper? And again, no slight on Mr. Pope, right? But a goalkeeper who can do. Oh, I wanted to catch it just before he kicks it. All right, but it's all like it's in this part. When you got a goalkeeper who's good on his feet, and a few folks already mentioned it. When you got a goalkeeper that's good on his feet, it gives the confidence to other players, to other teams, for the rest of the players to push up. But also, he becomes almost the third outfield player in this situation, right? Rather than having to push deep and allowing Everton to push him up, to press Newcastle from deep, what happens? The two centre-backs split where Charles even outside the box here. Ramsdale is outside the box. He's the man in the middle between the two centre-backs. Everton try to keep things, try to keep things compact centrally by having obviously the two players defending here, pressing here, and with a 3-4 in the middle. But when you've got a third outfield player in Ramsdale who's got this sort of passing ability, it's difficult. With that one pass, Ramsdale cut out 1, 2, 3 Everton players. And it goes to Joe Willock, who had a decent game himself, actually. I thought he had a decent cameo himself. Gets on the ball, great turn, decent turn, forcing the Everton centre-back here to get on him. Again, he's out of position. So that means now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Everton players are in Newcastle's half. But then you've got 4 players missing, and now you're going to create a 1v1 situations. All that started off from a one pass from Mr. Ramsdale. Anyway, Willock gets onto the ball, decent turn, gets over to Voldemar, who this time knows when to drop in. He drops in, and then what does Willock do? Because what Eddie Howe told him to do: drive into the space, make yourself available. And that's exactly what he does. Look at the space that's been created now, because the Everton centre back, and I think it's Tarkowski, had to, because of Ramsdale's pass took out 3 centre backs. If Tarkowski does not try to reach Willock and stays where he is, he ends up then facing 3, 4, 5 Newcastle players. He tries to cut it out, doesn't. Get Voldemar clever, drops in. Now there's a big space for Mr. Willock to run into. He does so right here, but Voldemar is made of different stuff. He knows he's got Willock behind him. He knows he can make the pass to, I think it's Barnes here. Is it Barnes? He knows he can make the pass here, but he's not that type of guy, Voldemar. Voldemar is a visionary. Instead, Voldemar checks his feints the centre back, looks up, sees the run from, I think it's Barnes up ahead of him, and look at this for a pass. No, not Barnes. Sorry, Willock. Willock, not Barnes. Let me go back. And because it's not ordinary, he knows there's space here. He knows there's space there. He checks himself and he knows, there's a better space here, right here, for Willock, who I know is still running, to get into. and he does this like, what do you even call that? A reverse curl pass right into Willock's path. I haven't seen a pass like that. I don't know in how many years. Right into Willock's path, and with that one pass, now you've got 2 versus 2 situation here. The centre backs are absolutely in trouble. Ramsey's here, Willock is here. And if you really, really want to play it well, you can have Barnes a little bit running a little bit later. But a 2-3-2 with one situation. Now, if Willock's touch is as good as Voltemada, he places that touch into Ramsey's pass, and Ramsey can just either take a first touch or hit it first time, but he hits it a little bit too wide. And I don't know why. Well, I don't know I feel like Ramsey. You guys let me know, because at the beginning I was going to say it's a bit too wide, but I don't know if Ramsey maybe has a little bit more confidence in his left foot. He lets it run across him and takes the shot first, or controls it. He tries to control it with his right foot. Doesn't work, goes a bit too wide, and now the angle's spoiled, and it ends up giving Pickford a chance. But the more of these type of situations we create, the better those. I think the more likely we're gonna create those chances. We're gonna turn those chances into goals. So absolutely phenomenal. I just thought I wanted to show, obviously, Ramsdale's pass, Voltemada's vision, the run into the space. I think from everything that we've seen, even from the other highlights we've seen, is that it's been drilled into the players that when Voltemada gets the ball, either get around him or run into the space or create the space. And that's exactly what they're doing. So 4-1, I think fully deserved, great away performance. And guys, I think it was a very, very good away performance from everybody else. So about to get to but let me know what you guys thought. So a few of you guys sent off your man of the match performances. I gave mine as Malik Chow, but there's tons of players we can look at. And look, we're going to get onto the Tottenham match preview in a moment. Just going to read through the chats. Aaron says the audacity of Voltemada to dink Pickford and come up with that finish is very impressive. I love the arrogance of that finish. Yeah, I'm not even sure Voltemada is a character. I'm not even sure I think he's just like, he thinks it's funny. He's like the Joker. I think he thought that was funny. That's why he did it. Maybe that is arrogance. I don't know. Liam says, match of the day nailed the impact of Tino and Hall. Yes, they did. With them being the furthest forward, both inverted for Hall's shot that clipped the bar. Different team. Totally different team. Totally different team. Aaron says, man of the match could have been anyone, Hall, Miley, or Chow. Any of them, 3 of you, could you argue deserve it? Absolutely. Fully agree with that. Right. Folks, we are on to the next part of our show, and that is the match preview for Tottenham. And I've got, he's not even a legate, he's a member, he's a friend of the channel now, and you guys know how highly I rate him, how much of his work I've been aspired to do in terms of my own channel. And you see me on his channel on Spurs Kings Rival Show every Wednesday having a laugh. Well, us mainly me laughing at the opposition. But I'm super excited to have our man Ashmatic. How you doing, sir? You're on mute.
Start again. Big up Toon, big up the chat. What an introduction. Please make sure you guys are liking and sharing, subscribing as always. But man, it's a pleasure to be here as always. I'm ready to get into it, man. Listen, my fan base right now, we're on the once again. Yeah, we're on the verge of a meltdown. Do you know what I mean? And I think you guys are gonna set that match alight. Literally, like Tom and Jerry, where they got the candle, they got the, and they light up the bomb.
And he goes, shh.
and Jerry starts laughing. He's like, he starts running away, and yeah.
Okay, so this sets the scene. Actually, we're going to send the context for the game itself, and before we get to the tactics board and everything else. So I'm going to give you the floor in a moment, Ash, and maybe this helps. Maybe this is a good starting point, and you take it over from here. Essentially, this is from the Spurs Express. I don't know how legit they are. You can let me know, but. Growing frustration within the Tottenham squad towards manager Thomas Frank, as there is increasing confusion as to what roles players are being tasked with, as plans are thrown out or changed either close to kickoff or alarmingly during games. Now, my initial view is changing roles within games isn't unusual, so I don't see the problem with that. But maybe this is more of a symptom of everything that else is going on. And obviously, you've came on the show. You've already said that. Look, there's the fan base, the team, everything is set alight. But tell it all. Tell it all. So what's been going on? What's on your mind? What's the fans saying? What's happening?
Where do I begin? You know what it is? It's systemic. Meaning, this is before Frank got here. You know, we've got a massive cultural issue at the moment. Big up to the chat each and every time, man. I see you. But yeah, Frank has inherited essentially World War III in the club, because I think the club were trying to move away from Levy because it was negative PR. And they thought maybe if we reset the culture, bring in new faces, Vinay's come in, new management, new staff, a new era. This could hopefully uplift the club and give us a hoping start in this league. They wanted to kick off and kind of springboard off that Europa Cup League win. And so the ambition in the club and the feeling from some of the fans were quite optimistic. However, there was a large part of fans that were still unhappy that we sacked a manager that brought us our first trophy in 17 years. It's almost like Eddie Howe winning a trophy finally for Newcastle, and then you're like, by the way, here's a P45. Do you know what I mean? Even if you like finished lower in the table, similar like with Glasner, you know, I could go on. Do you know what I mean? How much it means to the fans, it means a lot. So a portion of those fans felt that way, regardless of where we finished. Now, the club came out very strongly and said, we want to be able to fight on all fronts, right? At the moment, we're not doing that. So then now it's like you can no longer go over the boogeyman.
Right.
Like we don't have the straw man anymore. Levy, he's gone. And so we need someone to vent our frustrations out on, because we haven't won a home game in like 3 months. So we're looking at like early part of September, August. That was the last time we won a home game. And I think it's the opposite for you guys. You guys have an excellent home form. Do you know what I mean? And we have a relatively good away form up to like the Arsenal game. So I think when you're trying to build and try to build, like, create momentum in your team, the best place to win is at home, because that's where your fans are. That's where the pain, you know, your love, your livelihood, your diehards. That's where they're going to be. They're paying the most amount of money in the league at the moment, or in Europe. So when we get dished up unsavory goods, fans can't hold back. And the thing is, we had appointments like Mourinho, we had Conte, we've gone through different type of managers, we've had the system managers, we've had the win now managers, we have the it's who we are now managers. Do you know what I mean? So we've had project managers, we even had Nuno, right? And now people are starting to compare Frank with Nuno, because remember, Nuno achieved Europe with Wolves. Do you know what I'm saying? Frank didn't do that with Brentford. Right. So then now everyone's starting to do the Spider-Man kind of, you know what I'm saying, that kind of analogy. But like most people will be like, oh, look, guys, you just need patience, give the man time. But I think it's because he's inherited the since Poch, the Jose, then the Nuno, into the Conte, into the caretakers. Do you know what I'm saying? From the caretakers into Ange. And then people were like, no, Ange is the final hope. He's the last hope. After that, you know, we can't do no more waiting. We can't be more patient than that. And then after that went, it just felt like we're here again. But how are we here again? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So that,
Right.
and then now you've got players that kind of buy into that as well. Coming back to your question, coming back to this report, because the players are now, they went from low block, defensive, and also philosophy coaches. Because remember, Conte was a philosophy coach, meaning he wanted his players to be in a certain position. Do you know what I mean? He didn't want to change formation. He didn't want to change tactically. 3-4-3, that's how we play. Maybe a 5-3-2 at best. But 70 to 85%, we were a 3-4-3 under a Conte team. Do you understand?
Right.
And then from that, we went completely the opposite way. And then another extreme in Ange into a 4-3-3, high line, high press and obtain football, helter-skelter, very direct, right? And then now you've got Frank, which is meant to be, he's meant to be the pragmatist. So he's meant to be the logical one, the one where we still attack, but defensively, we're meant to be like not as open, and he's more sensible about where he puts his players and how he sets up and how many players sit behind the ball. Now, that's what fans bought into. That's what the players bought into, because we were getting beat every week at home. And so we had to do something about that. Bringing Frank in now, all of a sudden, that home form is not translating. We're still in that Ange era, do you understand? Without the attacking football. Am I making sense? So then now the players are saying, raw, 1 minute, first game of the season, we were 4-3-3 against Burnley. The second game, we were 4-2-3-1. Okay, cool. Fast forward to Arsenal. We went to a 3-4-3, but in real life, if you watch the game, it looked like a 5-3-2 or 5-2-3. Who knows? Certain times it was 6 at the back, 7 at the back. You understand? So that's where now you're getting different information fed through to the players. All right, we're playing 3 at the back this time. Okay, we're playing 2 at the back. Okay, in possession, we're 3 at the wing backs push up. No, one sits, what? And then fast forward to the game we just had, well, even missing PSG, but coming back into Fulham, we went to a 4-2-2 diamond, which we did against PSG. So again, we've changed it again, and we've changed the players as well. So we did wholesale changes in the midfield, and that is becoming a bit of an issue now, because certain players like Xavi's missed out 3 games in a row. Arsenal, PSG, and now Fulham, where most people, most fans expected to see one of their biggest signings in the last decade or so start a game, and a game that we were expected to dominate and be on the front foot. And so because there's no style and there's no identity, this is where this comment comes out. And because we're losing games, you're going to start to hear murmurs. Do you understand? And so people are like looking at the source. The source is from the Sun. So it's not really about, you know, Spurs Express. They're just an aggregator. So they're just reporting what other journalists have reported on. And that reporter is from the Sun. However, what he's reported on so far, from what I've known, from what the things he's put down, have been quite accurate. Do you know what I mean? Barkley also, he's from the Sun as well. But this guy's another guy from the Sun. But those two are kind of like highly reputable sources, even though it's a tabloid reporter. So it feels like at one end, the reporters are vying for, you know, they can smell blood and they're looking for that story. But on the other hand, it's like there's no smoke without fire. And you know that dressing room isn't completely happy. Do you know what I mean? There are going to be some parts where they back the manager. You got Porro coming out, and he came out recently and he said, oh, you know, the fans, they need to get behind us. They're not real fans. The ones booing Vicario, they're not real fans. He actually pulled Bergvall away when he went to the end of the match to start clapping the fans. He pulled him away. So get inside. Why are you clapping the fans for? Like, Do you know what I mean? That is
That's
for me.
insane.
It's
That's crazy.
crazy.
That's
Like,
crazy,
that
bro.
is crazy. Do you understand?
There's layers to that. There's layers to why that's mad. Like
And look, let me cut you. Look,
yeah.
Spence, yeah, we saw what happened in the Chelsea game. Blanked the manager, straight disrespect.
And
And
Van der Ven. Yeah.
exactly, right? Fans shouting at Spence, you're not fit enough to put the shirt on. Blah, blah, you'll never play for us. Da, da, da. He's telling the fans, shut up, shut up.
Is it?
Bro, this is all at home. It's kicking off. Do you understand? There's no smoke without fire. So, yes, Frank's come out and he's also said
I wish we
they
were playing
are
at Spurs
real
Stadium.
Spurs fans. He said they're not real Spurs fans. He said they're not real Spurs fans. If you're, I said, what is he doing? Did he not learn from what Ange did? When Ange was doing this to the fans, I said, oh, this is what's happening on my side of the fence, bro. On my side of this South River. Hey, listen, it's crazy. I can't even get my words out. It's mental.
How does that reflect on your away fans? Because I'm interested now. Because I don't know whether to play at the Spurs. It's better to play at your stadium or our stadium. I'm like,
yeah, well, people are gambling and hoping that the away results, because there's a difference between a performance and a result. And
yes,
performances away have not been great. And people have been saying it's a matter of time before those performances catch up with the results. And that's what we're seeing play out in real time.
I remember, and because I remember when I did the Spurs preview. I was doing this with Harry Scarf and I was preparing for the show. I remember I was saying to you, I said, you guys, your away form is phenomenal. And you said to me, it's because of our set pieces, because your XG was like exceptional. And I was like, oh, and I've always kept that in mind. Now, like you said, everything is catching up. That XG with your actual goals, because it happened. Obviously, you played us, and we took care of the set pieces. Even though you had a good game, you still created openings like that. Could have went other ways.
Best away games.
Yeah. That could have went other ways, but it didn't. And so, it seems to be happening. I got a couple questions, and I know a few folks in the chat as well. But I was going to say, the first thing I was going to say was, this reminds me of Man United problems. Like manager after manager. Now you've got a situation where you've got like a decade almost of six. You're not quite at a decade, but you're getting to that stage. Fast approaching. 6, 7, 8, 9 managers, different philosophies, tactics. You've got players that are they got Mourinho, you had Mourinho. You got players from Mourinho, you got players from Nuno, you got players from Postecoglou, you got players now from Frank, you got players from Conte's era, all together in one dressing room, and now beefing the fans and everything else. Essentially, do you think it is similar to the Man United problem, or what's the distinction essentially, and how do you think what do you think is the outcome from all of this?
I think it's slightly different to the Man United situation, because I think with Amorim, he's married to the philosophy, and I think Frank doesn't really have a set play. He doesn't. Hold
on. Is he your Ten Hag?
Oh, okay. Is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to find it.
Hold on. So I'll stop. You can start the story, man. You can start the story.
Look, Rivals is on Wednesday. You can answer that one there. You can answer your questions there. Possibly, because I think I think the difference is it's a lot earlier in Frank's tenure, so he doesn't quite know his best team.
Yeah.
He doesn't know his players. He doesn't know what makes them tick, what doesn't, and I think he's learning on the job. He's never played in Europe before. He's never had Champions League football, whereas Ten Hag had Champions League football. He'd experienced 2 games a week, and you're now seeing someone like Frank. He's having to learn how to be the antagonist as opposed to the protagonist, meaning he has to learn how to dictate the game state. Whereas at Brentford, he was more reactive. And so when you play teams like Man City, it suited. When it plays teams like Arsenal or Chelsea, you're not expected to win, or you're not expected to have a lot of the ball. Like at Tottenham, you are. When you play the mid to lower teams, you're expected to have a lot more of the ball, and you need to impose yourself on teams, meaning you need to be able to create chances, break down low blocks. And so for me, he's having to evolve in real time, his style of playing. I think with Ten Hag at Ajax, it was the other way around, because I remember his first game against Brighton, they got dismantled because he tried to play out from the back. They pressed the fullbacks, the centre backs, and then I think Eriksen ended up losing the ball. They tried to play out from the keeper, and I think it was De Gea. They made a mistake and they ended up conceding the goal. And then from there, I think Brighton went on to win it. It was either Brighton or Brentford. I can't remember the team, but I just remember the first game of his tenure, like he tried to play the Ajax way, and he tried to play that possession football, and it just didn't work from playing out from the back, and he got found out quickly. Whereas I think with Frank, we had that honeymoon period. So we had the pre-season Super Cup. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. We had the buy-in from the fans, the players. Oh, look how we defended. Look how we are set up. The structure. Look at we're not so gun-ho. We're not so open. Look at the rest defense, etc., etc. So I think we're slightly different to Ten Hag's start. Ten Hag didn't have a good start. He didn't have a good introduction. I think it slowly turned bad with Frank, and he's starting to run out of time. He's running out of ideas, and because the results aren't matching up, and it's not just the results. It's the performances. Because I think if he had a style of play that fans could understand and get behind, there's something called the Tottenham way, right? So the Tottenham way is meant to be, we're the flair team, the front-footed team, the push and pull from the 60s. And ever since then, we've had like your Waddles, your Hoddles, your Gazers, your Linekers. Do you understand? You've had those type of players that would entertain. And we were a cup team, to be fair, towards the 80s. Then maybe the 90s was a bad period for us. But we always won cups. We always had like a Flair, Ginola. Do you know what I mean? Clint, like we had players that you would remember. And you think, oh yeah, Tottenham slowly lost that identity as, managers came and went. We kind of went back to it under, I'd say, Redknapp, and then Martin Jol definitely before Redknapp, and then obviously Pochettino was the most recent in terms of attacking and entertaining type of football. But ever since that, we've been a far cry of where, in terms of entertaining that style, that panache, that flair, we haven't been in that side since, and we've just been trying to get back to winning ways pretty much, and that's come at a cost of the way we play it, in my opinion. So I don't know if that answers your question about Ten Hag.
Yes, I think maybe I wasn't saying it like the exact thing, but why I reminded me of Ten Hag is Frank is meant to be known as the pragmatist. And I remember watching the Athletic, and there was one guy who was disputing the point that he's a pragmatist at all. He thought that was a myth, but he didn't quite explain it. And what I think is where I'm seeing similarities to Ten Hag is where he had the difference is Ten Hag had his own style and philosophy, but it ended up not working, and he started mishmashing different styles, and it ended up to the point where people didn't know what style it was. They say, "Where is our identity?
Correct.
What is it?" And I remember like Terry from Football Terrace made a really good point about like if you hire a baker to make you bread, and instead he starts giving you fish, like that's not you need to sack the baker, innit? And that's what it became with Ten Hag.
Right.
I think Frank is known as the pragmatist, whether he is, I'm not quite sure, but it sounds like if he's changing formations all the time, from what I'm hearing, it almost sounds like he doesn't have he's not so sure about his style, and he's losing faith in whatever his style, his identity is. So the similarities being is you don't know what team you're going to have. The players don't know what roles they're going to have or who's going to be playing which game. Whether they're doing well in training, they don't know. Whether they're doing well in training or not, it doesn't matter because Frank might just change what idea he has for that game, which is dangerous. But we've got a few folks that have got questions and statements in the chat, and then we'll get to the tactics. Aaron says, I do feel sorry for Thomas Frank because he hasn't had a full squad to use. Spurs have been suffering with injuries all season. Cooley and Madison, big misses for them. I mean, quickly, is that much of an excuse for you? Not an excuse, just much of a reason.
No. Let's answer that. Let's get into it. Yeah. So we basically bought 4 players to start our starting 11 because Madison's a starting player, Kulu's a starting player, Solanke's a starting player. So those are the players you need to replace essentially. And so Madison replacement would have been Xavi Simons. He's a number 10 / 8. Whether he's to the level of Madison is debatable. However, is he being utilized? Is he being used? Full stop. That's the question. You've got a manager that has a player that could replace like a Madison, as the commenter just said. But would he be using Madison right now? Is the question. Because is he a Thomas Frank player or is it a club signing? That's one question. Because he's not using him for whatever reason. He's not starting him. And he would argue that he came out and said he hasn't had a pre-season. He's still adapting to life in London. He's getting used to the league, etc. That's the reason why he's not starting him. But surely, if that was the case, wouldn't you start him to get him up to speed now that we've played 13 games?
Okay.
Plus, do you know what I mean? Then you've got the argument with Kulusevski out because he played as a right winger, sometimes in a 10, to be fair. But you've got Mohamed Kudus. He's a right winger. And at Ajax, you could argue that he's played in multiple roles. Even for Ghana, he's played in multiple roles and West Ham as well. So you've got that argument down. And it depends how Thomas Frank wants to deploy him. And then you're saying, okay, up front, you're using Solanke. And Solanke got 8 league goals last season. If we're talking about the Premier League by itself, 8 league goals, it's not that hard to replace, in my opinion, 8 league goals. Obviously, he's going to add assists as well and help him to maybe do key passes, etc. But they did buy Moani. I mean, they did loan in Moani, albeit that he has had a few knocks here and there. And he's missed a few games, so he's had a stop-start introduction. But that's 3 players that we've just mentioned, and you've spoken about Kulu, Madison, and Solanke being missed. You've brought 3 players in that kind of negate that idea, in my opinion. But I can, to caveat my own point, it's like these players have never played with each other, and I think players need rhythm. They need time to adjust, to get to know their teammates, to understand their movements, etc. So with Madison and Kulu and Solanke, that was already formed. And so Solanke would have been going into season 2, and then we could have been maybe a bit more sharper in the box, etc. Hope that answered that question as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got some follow-ups. Someone says, Liam says, Vicario giving Pope vibes outside the box. Yeah, that was mad.
Definitely.
I think Aaron says, I think Howe needs to stay consistent with formation and identity and change mid-game if needed with subs and tactics. He's just hearing about about it.
Listen, I can relate. We can relate. That's what I'm gonna
Liam says, imagine Porro doing that to some Italian or Turkish ultras, be chased out of this. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't talk like that everywhere, bro. You have to relax yourself. I think Frank needs to stay consistent, says Aaron, with his formation. Oh, no, I think I read that one. Liam says, respect Ash. Ten Hag was dealing with the likes of Ronaldo. These Spurs players need to get in line and follow the manager. I think if I want to get to the heart of that question, Ash, is it a thing where, is there a bit of too much, player power is not the word I'm looking for. And I heard this kind of comment before where, and I think you mentioned it at the top of the program, but it's a bit different where, okay, the players are may feel they've been messed around a little bit, but is there a bit of are you picking up any vibes where they think they're too good? Not for the club or
I
too good
think it's a
for.
lack of leaders, in my opinion. I think
Okay.
one of the guys, whoever the leader is, needs to step up, and he needs to put everyone else in line. Simple as that. Do you know what I mean? Because there should be no back chat, no utters of, I think the manager's changing it too much. If you got a strong leadership group, voice, you won't hear that come out of the dressing room. Do you know what I mean? So I think the leadership group, they're not doing their job, and whoever is the leader out of that in the dressing room, they're the ones that need to be managing that. But you just don't know. Sometimes players leak things to their agents. They talk to their agents, and the agents leak it to the press, and that's how it gets out. So certain times managers don't even know. And Frank might be disillusioned and like, what? Where's that come from? No, I've never heard that before. But this is what happens in the modern game.
Yeah. Liam says Frank likes a number 10 star player, but with more grit like Damsgaard.
Yeah, I agree. And I think physicality issue with Xavi Simons is something maybe that's stopping. This is why when I gave you the lineup, I wasn't too sure what A, system Frank will go with, and B, if he would include someone like Xavi Simons, just to kind of fast forward to that bit. But yeah, physicality, something that Frank wants, and that's the reason why we were looking for Morgan Gibbs-White, because he probably looked at Maddison.
Exactly.
He looked at Maddison's before Maddison was injured. Remember, it was Kudus, and then the next couple of days after, if not the same day, Gibbs-White was mentioned, and Maddison was fit that time. Do you understand? So that means to me that Frank clearly identified. Yeah, correct. So yeah, for me, I think when he got Xavi Simons, he started him. He did give him starts. When he first came, he started him on the left. Then he started him in the 10 role. And then ever since then, it's like he gave him his time. He didn't really quite do it. And then he's just been a bench feature. And I think a lot of fans, we're used to having a figurehead or a talisman or someone to look to. And everyone kind of looked to Xavi Simons after Son had left, that he was going to be the guy that, we pin our hopes on. And because he's not playing them, I think fans are now using that as a stick to beat Frank with. But I definitely agree. I think Damsgaard is a player. It's funny enough, his first 18 months was a bit sticky. He didn't play a lot. He had an injury. He was coming from an ACL injury, in fact. So he had a knee issue. So he had to coming into a new league, he had to bed him in slowly and come back in. And I think part of me was like, is he doing that with Xavi at the same time? Is he trying to bed him in slowly? But the difference is Xavi's a lot younger and he hasn't got an ACL. But if he can get the physicality, if they can get that into Xavi's game, which I think will happen, you'll see an exceptional player because he has got the IQ, in my opinion. He's got the education from La Masia, from Barcelona, and he's come from PSG. I think maybe that's why he might have been a little bit upset that he didn't get that start against PSG, because that is one of his former parent clubs. He decided to leave and show, like, you know what, I'm my own man, I'm big enough, and he can't even get a start at Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? So it's crazy.
A lot going on, man. A lot going
on. Do you see what's going on right now?
just to before we get into that tactics board, I wanted to, because we did talk about it a bit earlier in terms of where Tottenham are at. I don't know why it's showing me Man City's, but can you see the table?
12.
Yeah. So you guys, can you see the table? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Tottenham 12.
Because I haven't got like, I have to flick from screen to screen.
Yeah, Tottenham, Newcastle 13.
And we're 13th. We're both on 18 points. We've both lost 5 times and both won 5 times, and both drew 3 times as well. You've scored 20. You've got a good goal difference. You scored 21 goals, 16 conceded. We've scored 17 goals of 16 conceded. Interesting stuff. Very interesting. With 5 plus goal difference and 1 plus goal difference. But FortMob has a very interesting XG table that I wanted to talk about. I said but because there's a bit of a however on this. And let's see how true you think this is. On the XG table, they have you 15th.
Correct. Correct. What my eyes see, yeah. I've got a certain friend that doesn't like this, but from what my eyes see, I think
And the reason they have you 15th is Right. So they've got you. So this is just to explain it. I had to learn it myself. Big up to Bobby Fairview who taught me about this. So
Mm.
on here, according to you see the 12 here, according to the XG, you
Hmm.
should have if according to XG, you would have had
Hmm.
12 goals, but
Yeah.
instead you've scored 21 goals, right?
Hmm.
So by the chances you're creating, what
Hmm.
they're
That's
saying
right.
you would have earned 12 goals, but you got 9. So what that's sort of indicating, or it is indicating anyway,
Overperforming.
you're overperforming.
Correct.
Some might say a bit lucky, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever, it's there. But 9 goals is very big. Like if I
Hmm.
said it was by 1 or 2 goals, I said okay, it's not a big thing,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's 9 goals.
Hmm.
On your defending, excuse me, on your goals conceded. Now you've conceded 16 goals. They
Hmm.
think you should have conceded about 17.6, so about 70. So it's not
Too
over.
far.
It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
too far. It's not a problem, right? And you've got 18 points, but they think you should have 15. They think they
Hmm.
should have lost at least one game, so you should be a bit lower.
Hmm.
Just before we get to your thoughts on that, Newcastle on the other end is we've got 17 goals, but it's like according to XG, it's like minus zero point 0.3. So they're saying according to the chances we've created, yeah, like we should have
Mm.
17 goals. We are that
Yeah.
team in terms of what we performed, and we're not too dissimilar um, in terms of our goals conceded. So we've conceded 16 goals,
Hmm.
and but our XG says you should have conceded maybe 15. So kind of saying you're underperforming or your opponents are getting lucky,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Which is a position I'd like to be in more or less
Hmm.
because it says it's going to even out itself. So I feel like with Newcastle, um, our I was talking to the guys earlier. I feel like we're about to hit that sweet spot. I feel like we're about to. I feel like we're getting into perform where our performances are being rewarded through our results, but we'll see.
Hmm.
But back to Tottenham, and you said this right. You're saying as soon as you should be 15 according to XG, you're like, yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
So for you, are you kind of in agreement?
Okay,
Like, what's
so the open play issue, that's what we have at the moment. I'll be frank. No pun
okay?
intended. So our attacking patterns of play have been an issue all season. And so we are very heavily dominant to one side of the pitch. And that happens to be the right hand side, which happens to favor Kudos.
Right.
So you've got Porro and Kudos. And Porro, what we normally do is we play out from the back, or if we have possession, what we'll do is it might start from the left-sided centre back and it will go around to the right-sided centre back. It might pop into the 6, into the DM, whoever that is, Palini or Bentancur, and then it eventually find its way to Porro because we play like a 3-2 in build-up. So we have 3 centre backs and Porro becomes an extra centre back because he's meant to help with our progression. When he has the ball, he tends to play a straight line lofted ball or chip ball or a pass straight into Kudos. And Kudos, when he receives the ball, a lot of the time his back is to goal, and sometimes that ball ends up going backwards.
Okay.
However, sometimes he gets the ball and we have some rotations, and sometimes there's a third man run or there's triangles, we do little rondos where we create overloads in the wide areas, or you might see Porro do an underlap, Kudos do an overlap run, and vice versa. You might see them swap over. So that right hand side is very busy. And
Okay.
at the end of that, at the result of that would be we tend to have a lot of crosses. So our crosses will tend to be from the wide side of the pitch, meaning the corner flag, or at the edge of the area where you might see either Kudos or Porro fire those crosses in. Problem is, of late, we've played a lot of teams that know that. They know that we want to build through our right-hand side. We've got players like Romero, who's quite good on the ball in possession. And you've got players like Porro, as I said, Kudos. Again, all of those 3 players, they're our strongest players on the ball. And so a lot of that happens down that right-hand side. So what teams try to do is they force us down to our left, because lately we've been doing this 4-2-2, meaning that we've had no left-hand side and we play with 2 strikers. Now, the disadvantage with playing with 2 strikers is if the other team pack the box and you try to whip a cross in, and it doesn't beat its first man, or it gets overhit and it doesn't reach the target,
You're in trouble.
or the two defenders in the middle are able to defend those crosses, then it kind of makes it a low percentage chance of you scoring. We are no longer getting to the byline and doing cutbacks. We're no longer getting to the byline and fizzing it across the box.
Yeah.
We are doing aerial crosses in play, and teams are figuring that out. It's easier to defend. And that's how we defend as well. We defend with numbers inside the box. And that's why the last 3 games, teams have figured that out and they're scoring towards the edge of our box. And so that seems to be the issue. Frank wants teams to attack us down the width, and we congest the middle so they can't get. And it's not just Frank. I think it's football meta at the moment. Most teams will be compact, and they don't want teams to be able to, get through those lines centrally. So they force teams out wide, and that's what we're seeing at the moment. Arsenal do it really well, and they had that same issue as well for a long time, where they had players like Saka, Odegaard, and it was Ben White at the time. And obviously now they got Timber. Eze's now played to the right, and they've got different rotations. I think that's what's helping them at the moment, where they're not so dependent on Saka and Odegaard, because they've got fluidity in that right-hand side, and they're having different elements with their fullbacks inverting. Like Calafiori sometimes inverts, it becomes a 10 or an 8. He's got license to roam, etc. And so you're seeing a bit of flexibility in their system. In Frank's first few games, we're basically at the infancy of his tenure. And so because the fan base aren't buying into what they're seeing on the pitch, the energy's off when we're at home games. Away games, it's not so bad because the players don't feel as nervous, especially some of our younger players, because I think that's a bit of an issue. We've got players like Odobert, who's like 19, 20 years old, Tell, similar age. You've got Bergvall, Archie Gray, all of them are quite young. And so sometimes it becomes a bit of a hindrance playing at home as opposed to away. So coming into this game, maybe that's why our performance went up a level when we did play you at St. James's Park, because the players may have felt a bit of a relief. They're able to express themselves. Maybe they'll play a pass forward, and they won't get any stick for it if they don't reach this destination. And that extra 5% makes a difference. That energy makes a difference when you don't have a fan saying you're rubbish. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're a young man, because at the end of the day, they're all human. So you got to kind of throw that into perspective, in my opinion.
Man, jeez, that's I can't make up my mind if it's better to play you away or at home. It's still
no. It depends, because, like I said, Frank is a tinker man. He doesn't know his best system at the moment. He doesn't know the style he wants to imprint on his team. And as I said before, he's played 4-2-2. That's what he's been going with, because he wants to win duels. He wants to win. He's going back to basics. He wants to win all the battles on the pitch. So for him, he needs a lot of legs on the pitch. He wants energy. Pape Sars, Bergvalls, do you know what I mean? He wants that energy. And maybe I should have put Sarr in my starting lineup on what I predicted, but I think that's what he's going for.
Well, I can change, because I love JLA Tactics ball, but I think when you go off it, it restarts, so you'll have a chance to put it. You would restart it, really, so it's not a problem. Liam
also, quick one. My show's
of course.
My show's meant to start at 10. Just letting you know.
Oh,
yeah, I've got a show as well. So I thought you wanted me for a short while, but it's cool. We're gonna have to wait.
Let me get on the tactics board now. Jeez, I should have known.
I know I've rattled you, innit?
Yeah, I'm like, jeez. I was all getting comfortable. Let me take this off.
But as you're doing that, the reason why the 4-2-2 had advantages to what Frank wanted to be physical, wanted to win duels, he wanted to be combative, win the ball high up, be aggressive. And when you win the ball high up, then you've got more of a chance of creating a chance because you're closer to the opponent's goal. And so I think that's what we lacked at times in the other systems, where you've had people complaining about Paulinho and Bentancur because they were very safe. They didn't play it forward. I think Bentancur is more of a more like a regista, more of a controller. I'm not saying he's that level, but that's what he profiles are similar to. And I heard one of the players, Kudos, was talking about player profiles, and he called Bentancur tiki taka. I don't really agree with that, but that's how he described him. And so, in nature, I think we want him to be a bit, or Frank wants him to be more aggressive, front-footed, higher up the pitch, winning those duels. But out of all the players, he seems to be one of our deepest, alongside another profile what we have in Paulinho. He's quite, again, someone that wants to play safe, hold on to the ball, sideways, play it backwards. They're happy to run into the box and box crash, but in possession, if they're pressed, they're not going to get on the half turn and play the ball forward. They're not going to get on the half turn and pull the play and carry the ball. They're not a Gravenberch. Do you know what I'm saying? They're not that kind of. They're not a Tonali. Tonali can do all three. Do you know what I'm saying? He's the best of it. They're not that player. They're more safe. Paulinho's best at destroying. Simple as that. But yeah, that's why I think they went to change it. Put Gray, he's got legs. They put Bergvall, he's got legs. You know, these are the type of principles he wants. And then he went to two up front with Richarlison and Moani. But when you do Richarlison and Moani, they play closer to each other. So at times you're playing with no left side. It's just Udogie that gives you the width, and you've got no outball on the wing. And that's why it was lopsided a lot of our games, and we favored down that right hand side. Even when Kudos wasn't playing, we were still slightly lopsided. We couldn't get crosses from the left hand side. It was just essentially down the right.
I'm looking for Simmons. Where the heck is Simmons? Simmons.
I don't know. No, leave him out. Leave him out for this one.
Yeah, all right, cool. I need to put one more in there. Who would you have?
So Romero comes on for Danso because Romero was suspended. So Danso comes out, and that will be our back line. Some people are saying Porro might come out and put Spence there. Tell's an option. Tell could be an option.
Because I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Here's Simmons. So Simmons. So is that how you kind of see yourself lining up? 4-3-3?
Yeah, 4-3-3 or yeah, with Simmons drifting in closer to the striker, sometimes pulling wide to help progression.
What do you think made things work for you in our previous game? I'll hold you for 5 minutes and we'll see. What's your biggest strength? What do you think worked for you? Because you did create chances. And what do you think you kind of see yourself doing? So I know that Kudos is heavy on this side. Porro.
Well, I think in the last game we managed to assert ourselves a bit more, get ourselves higher up the pitch. I think that was the main takeaway, and so we didn't look as stodgy in build up, and also we were winning the ball. It wasn't always going down the sides. So I think Frank favors double width. He likes the fullbacks bombing on if they can, to support with the winger hitting those crosses in. But I think a lot of fans want to see players like Kudos get closer to the box. The goal he scored on Saturday, he was inside the box. A lot of fans want to see more of that. We want to see that kind of Mbumo profile type where he becomes a goal scorer, not just someone that is a creator. And that's what Spurs are lacking at the moment. We're lacking that goal threat in all areas. Moani is a profile we will like him, but he hasn't really hit the ground running. He did get a couple goals against PSG, but we need to see it in the Premier League, and we need to see some consistency from him. And so we need a goal threat centrally. We need a goal threat on the right, and we need a goal threat on the left. The left's been a non-existent this season. Odebert hasn't really been effective on the left in terms of output. Now, he's shown flashes where he might, go inside, dribble past players, but the actual end product where he gets his final ball correct. Manchester United probably one of his better games when he came on for a half, but he hasn't done it for 75 minutes or 90 minutes per se. So
this is second year now, isn't it? Is he struggling a little bit?
So yeah, with I think with him, because he's such a young man, he's impressionable. It's a bigger club. He came from Burnley, where you haven't got the same amount of pressure on him, and I think he's playing a lot within himself. And I think the arrival of Kudos has helped him kind of believe in himself and be a bit more assertive and a bit more aggressive when he's on the ball. But again, it's just that final ball, that decision making as well, and his strength has been lacking. I think that's the biggest issue with a lot of Spurs fans. It's physicality is a bit of an issue, similar to Simmons. And so I've got both of them in, but it could easily, Simmons might not be in there. And equally, like I said, Odobert might not be there because it's a physicality issue. I think with Tell, a lot of fans had high hopes for him, but he's not had a look in either. Since Man United, he scored a goal and he's not had a look in whatsoever. He had a few minutes come on, 5 or 10 minutes on Saturday against Fulham. But apart from that, it's been bit part. He's not really being featured. And I think they are viewing him as a striker at the moment. But issue at the moment with Spurs, for me, is still the progression of the ball from our midfielders. We lose a lot of the ball when we're trying to pass it. Similar issue to Newcastle, in fact. I remember with Newcastle, you had a problem of passing the ball. A lot of the quality when you were passing, it seemed to kind of go amiss in certain games. And that's the issue at the moment with Spurs. A lot of our attacks are breaking down because we're trying to force passes. We're trying to go long when sometimes it's not on, and we're trying to force the issue. Maybe because it's the game state and we're trying to get back into a game, and that's why we're losing so much possession. But at the same time, we haven't got those profiles as well in our team where we've got high technical passes in our team. We don't have that, especially forward passes.
Before you go, Ash, what would be like? What's some of your biggest worries? Where do you think Newcastle can really hurt Tottenham?
So Romero can sometimes, and this season especially, has moments of lapses of concentration where he switches off. Sometimes tries to take the game to the opponent and tries to wander off and do his thing and try to force and ask questions. And sometimes that can leave us vulnerable because he vacates his space. He's very front-footed, aggressive footballer. That's his nature. That's how he plays. That's his style. Nothing wrong with that. But at times it can be costly. So it's sometimes I think with Romero is his positioning. His positioning can be a little bit off, and we need more leadership from him at times where he needs to organize a bit better, talk, communicate to his back line. There was a time when he passed it out from the back into Pape Sarr, and Pape Sarr was pressed heavily. To be fair, Sarr did ask for the ball, but again, I think Romero should have saw a little bit wiser, seen how close that player was to him, and not passed out from the back. We ended up conceding a goal against PSG. And I was like, those little small details, that needs to be coached out of Romero, in my opinion, when you're trying to get back into the game. You're trying to, actually, we were leading the game. We actually ended up, that was a goal they ended up drawing with us against PSG. So Romero is a slight worry in terms of switching off, playing out from the back at times, not showing organization, not showing leadership. Porro is another one. He can get down on the flanks, and a lot of teams target our right-hand side because, again, 1-to-1, he's not the greatest, but also spatial awareness. So you can pass around him 2v1s. You can underlap. He struggles with underlapping runs.
That's Howe's signature.
Yeah. So that's going to be an issue as well for if Porro does play. And I think that's why a lot of fans were hoping that Spence will come in this side defensively because we know what threats you lot carry down the side. So if Porro comes and starts, I expect Newcastle to get a result. Those are my two biggest worries. And then also the midfield, as I said before, very stodgy. They're not progressive. They pass sideways a lot. They're not brave. It doesn't matter if it's Archie Gray, Bentancur, Palhinha, or even Bergvall. But I think Bergvall's the most progressive out of the lot. But his problem is he's too rash. So when we're trying to press teams, he disrupts our press because he will end up fouling the player. Eriksen was really good at Spurs where he pressed, but he didn't press to win the ball. He pressed to force errors. And I think Poch was good at teaching those small little details. I want you to press this certain way so that player wins the ball. It's not for you to win the ball. So that side of his game needs to be refined in my opinion. So if he plays, that will be a weakness as well. Us losing momentum through losing needless free kicks through Bergvall. Richarlison can't retain the ball. You see like Automata, who would drop in the pocket, look after it and do a wall pass. That's not a part of Richarlison's game. What he would do is he try to fill the player. As soon as he fools the player, he'll try to fall down. And not every referee buys it. And so then that breaks the move down as well. And so then when Moani does it and he tries to link up with Richarlison's not always in the position. They haven't got that telepathical understanding. They haven't had enough games together where that works. And then equally, all Spurs want to do is spam it. Spam crosses into the box. That's our game plan, literally. We don't have enough, in my opinion, variety in our attacking patterns of play. And that is my biggest issue. That's my biggest worry moving into this game week tomorrow, Newcastle. But Toon, I hope I've helped.
Absolutely. Give us a score prediction.
I'd say I'm going to go 3-1 Newcastle.
Wow.
3-1 Newcastle. Yeah, Barnes. I expect Barnes to be in the score sheet. We may score a goal, but between our errors, between us giving away possession needlessly, and the pressing as well, our pressing sequence, it's very inconsistent. They're still learning it. I can see, knowing when to go and when to press together. That is an issue for me, especially against Fulham. I could see it. I see Moani trying to go, Richarlison trying to go.
Yeah.
Then Bergvall was a bit late, and then it was, who is it? Archie Gray meant to come? Is it meant to be Paulinho? He's meant to follow the press. So there was lots of gaps when we went from high, and then we had to transition into middle, and then balls over the top we weren't dealing with. They were cutting us open at will, Fulham. And Fulham are a very average team. Very average. They're not doing well at the moment. But their squad's not great either. If you look at their squad, you've got Harry Wilson scoring goals.
Josh King's all right.
Josh King's good. He's a good player. I like him. Young talent. But yeah, everyone else is quite mediocre. They got a player, I think it was from AC Milan, used to play for, is it Seville? I forget what team he used to play for. Villarreal? Cheswoki? Nigerian kid?
Yeah.
Very well. I liked him. I've been scouting him for a while, so I was interested to see him. He hit the post. He had a 1v1 when he went around Vicario. So it could have been a lot worse, man. But yeah, that's my prediction, bro.
Ash, thank you so much, and enjoyed your show. And always a blessing to have you on, and see you tomorrow at the rival show. Hopefully, well, no, not hopefully. I'll be humble. You be humble. Everybody will be humble.
I big up to your chat each and every time. Big up to the guests and people watching the playback. Please make sure and you like and subscribe to this guy, man. It's amazing, man. Big up.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Take care now. Right, folks. So there you have it. I mean, he's given the honest take on Spurs. I was just listening to him in terms of breaking it down and seeing the strengths of what Spurs were saying. I'm going to go through your chats at the moment. I was thinking about Kudus down that right. I don't know if you guys noticed when Ash was talking about Kudus and Porro and Richarlison, that right-hand side is probably their strongest part in terms of their attack. I just feel that from what I watched against Everton, even against Marseille, against Man City, whether fans are fans of this or not, and by the way, I've kept the same starting lineup, but I'll tell you guys this: I do think Bruno might get rotated out and Tonali comes in. I think Eddie Howe has been subtly rotating the players, especially in the midfield. So Tonali's rested, Joe Linton's rested, Bruno's rested. So that's part of the thing that makes me think that we are going to rotate Bruno out. But again, I'm just guessing at this time of the thing like it's a guessing game, isn't it? But I do think in terms of Kudus, same thing that we did with Grealish, same thing that we did with Doku, same thing we did with a little bit of Greenwood, but he did really well at kind of inverting. Tottenham wants Kudus to invert a little bit more, get into the penalty box a little bit more. We know already that Newcastle are going to go into this. As soon as Tottenham pass that halfway line, Newcastle are going to go into this 5-4-1 or 4-5-1 shape. You're going to see Hall here, Barnes here, either Miley or Tonali, probably Tonali here. Oh, sorry, Joe Linton here, sorry. Tonali, Miley. So we just go into this 4-5-1, Baltimore here. And what does this? What that does is stop this kind of, or at least prevent to an extent, the overloads down the side. If anything, it would attract the likes of Porro to have to try and push up and try and either do runs in behind or get into these positions and try and get Kudos to invert a little bit, force Richarlison in a little bit here. And so they got a little bit more 1v1s or potential overloads going on. But from what Ash is saying, if once Tottenham get it in these type of positions, they start, as he said, spamming balls in. I find it difficult, and hopefully this plays out, but if I'm talking about headers in the box, I back Malik Chow over Moani. I definitely back Burn over Richarlison. Udogi Livramento, we'll see. But if that's what they're going to do, they're going to have to try and either add a little bit more into the box. Maybe Bergvall pushes up, for instance, if they really want to. Or Bentancur, for instance, as well. They'll try that kind of thing. But their best chance for me would be is trying to create, as Man City did, is try and get some possession within our final third here in the central areas and try and play players through that way. But as Ash said, Richarlison struggles to hold the ball, and Tonali or Joe Linton, geez, I don't think Richarlison fancies that battle. I was thinking though, if we were, if we hopefully we successfully defend very well, we do all of that other good stuff really well. How does our break look? Because I know Romera's got pace, Van der Ven's got extreme pace. So how does it work? But I do see us, especially if we're playing out from out the back. We saw it happening here where sometimes Barnes will drop in here. You see Voltamada here. Burn gets out, gets the ball, plays it to Hall. Hall doesn't mind getting it, whether out wide or here, passing it straight, and then doing these overlapping runs. And Ash did say Porro hates those underlapping runs, and that's what Hall's really, 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 really good at. And you can see that kind of becoming a trigger for the rest, for your Joe Littons, for your Tonali's to push up, Miley to push up, Voltamada being here, Elanga getting on his bike as well, and kind of pushing at them this way. Now, Van der Ven obviously has got real pace, so it'll be interesting to see where we create these kind of 1v1 situations. Either get the ball up to Voltamada real quick, Romero's on him like a rash. So Porro's going to have shows recovery pace here as well, because Hall's going to continue to run. Is it going to be Hall? Is it going to be Barnes? And try and play into this space in the back here. That's going to be key for us. That's going to be very, very important for us. I don't know if, the first clip I saw you guys against Everton, for instance, when Elanga made a deep run from in deep. I see Van der Ven having the pace to keep up with him, but then at the same time, you get the likes of Voltamada running in, Joe Linton running in. I think Elanga's going to have to use, is going to be using those. Voltamada's really good at also holding up the ball as well and waiting for support in these type of situations. So even if they do get back, even if Tottenham do get back, we'll be able to get support in these type of situations. But yeah, when Tottenham played us, they did create some opportunities. They didn't put them away. So I do kind of expect. I don't see it as they're down on their luck a little bit, but it sounds like they prefer to play away from home. If we're looking at these 1v1 situations, we're going to go to the chat in a moment. For instance, if you see how would it kind of pan out, Van der Ven, Elanga, Tonali here, Hall, Burn, Barnes, Joe Linton. If we could keep them quiet on that right-hand side, I see us perhaps trying to get into that back space as well. Be interesting to see what role Van de Ven does. Voldemort is going to be very, very key in either occupying Van de Ven or Romero, though I see Romero probably taking up a lot of his time trying to stop Voldemort. But Livramento and Elanga won't be by them. He's not going to leave Elanga by himself, obviously. But I think their combination in there is going to be absolutely key. And I think when we do have the ball, for instance, if you want to keep Van de Ven at bay to some extent, Voldemort, if we're attacking that right side, is going to be key in trying to occupy Van de Ven. And maybe that's where we create the space. So even if Elanga and Livramento push out, Udogie will be coming across. He's got pace himself. Van de Ven will be there. But Voldemort is trying to keep him occupied. And I think that's where, again, important for our midfielders to push up through. Mainly Tonali, who I think has got the legs to do it as well. Joelinton, Barnes, Hall. I think you'll see that to try and ensure that we're creating 1v1 situations or possibly even overloads. That's going to be key as well. So I think that's partly why I think Tonali, another rotation with Bruno, will be key. His kind of running, his burst of pace is going to be important for us. It's going to be a very interesting game as well. So let's see how Voldemort does in 1v1 versus Van de Ven if he's able to hold him off. I think Livramento's ball carrying ability is going to be key because I think can he force Udogie to kind of think about either if he went to leave, if Livramento pushes into these kind of spaces here, Udogie has to react at some point, either stay with Elanga or go towards Livramento. If he does that, Van de Ven has to come across with all the others, and that's where we have the opportunities to create space in behind. So I think that's going to be very, very key in what we do. Set pieces, I haven't spoken enough about them, but we're improving in those areas, but as well. So that might be areas where we can score goals as well. And if we can keep Spurs quiet in them set pieces, is going to be important. So for me, I think if we keep Spurs quiet in set pieces situations, as well as on the right-hand side, especially against Kudos, we have a very, very good chance. And see a lot more of Mr. Ramsdale as well. And with those raking passes as well, it's going to be key. Can he also do the same thing here when he kind of comes in as the third man and we're playing out from the back? And let's see how, like, if Spurs are struggling to press and kind of time their presses as well. And I fancy 1v1 situations, whether it's Miley on Simmons or Tonali on Simmons. I imagine it being Miley. So Joelinton will be here, Tonali will be here with Bentancur, Bergvall, Joelinton, for instance. Maybe Barnes might drop in, or like Hall here, like we did last time we saw kind of Barnes here, Hall here, collecting the ball, for instance. I think we can cause Spurs all sorts of trouble, especially with what Ramsdale is able to do. You might even see Willock playing because his ability to kind of, as we saw, to kind of get the ball in these situations. Willock maybe instead of Joelinton, perhaps, and be able to carry the ball and get it into these situations. But I think Joelinton definitely plays, or maybe instead of Bruno, but I think Tonali plays. So Howe's got options is what I'm saying. But if Spurs are struggling to, as Ash said, to get their press right and when to get and allowing themselves to get played through the middle, Newcastle have real kind of weapons at their disposal. If Hall comes in, for instance, here, if the ball comes in here, you see Hall or Barnes creating these type of situations. Voldemort, forcing Romero to come across with him, trying to create the space here in the middle. Excuse me. Let me take that off and put that here. Can we force their players out wide. Miley then allows Tonali, for instance, to get in through the middle in these type of situations where Van de Ven is having to shuffle across. If Van de Ven's having to shuffle across to take care of Tonali, then you've got Elanga and Udogie in these 1v situations. Bentancur, who's good, he's not the quickest of players. And, this again gives us opportunities to get in behind Spurs as well. The final one I want to see before I close up is how will Spurs out? I should have asked Ash in terms of how Spurs are playing out from the back. Can we force them to? And we know the goalkeeper's lacking a little bit of confidence, though. He might be relieved not to be playing at their ground at the moment as well. So he says they like to play with did he say 3-2? With those sits in the back. So you might see either Porro, probably Udogie. Porro coming out of that. With three centre backs. Where is it? Romero. It'd be interesting to see how we press. Maybe something similar. Kudos, Simmons, Richarlison, Mawani, Richarlison. Let's see what we do. So Voltemada, Barnes, Hall, Miley, Tonali, Elanga, maybe Livramento. Let's see how Livramento probably stays around here. Chow 1v1 with Richarlison. I fancy that. Burn. Let's see. Simmons' movement is going to be key in these type of situations, and how we press is going to be key. I think if we want to force them to go down the left, Voltemada cutting out Romero, Hall on Porro, Miley on Bergvall, Chow. If we want to force them down the left, maybe even to keep them away. So Voltemada, Barnes. So it's a lot harder for Vakari, either Hail Mary type of ball, or force him out to Van de Ven, where they're a little bit less down Richarlison's side, where they're a little bit less productive on that side as well. Force them onto Van de Ven, Tonali and others to kind of keep them away from Porro and Kudos. That could be another way. I think we did relatively well in the press last time, though. Again, Tottenham are talented, so there's opportunities there. But I fancy Livramento, Doji, Langa, Van de Ven, Tonali, Bentancur. There's going to be some key matchups there. I think Van de Ven's going to be crucial for Tottenham. Romero and Porro and Kudos are going to be absolutely crucial to getting the ball out as well. But again, I'll be saying, especially in corners, opportunities to shoot at any time. I think Vicario or trying to get balls in behind. They can put in Vicario in a situation where he has to be a super keeper. I think we have to take advantage over that and see where that takes us, because I think he's a goalkeeper who's lacking in confidence. So Ash predicted 3-1 to Newcastle. Guys, send in your predictions, and I'll let you know what my predictions at the end, and we'll conclude the show. So send in your predictions if you haven't already. Liam says, nailed it, Ash. Leadership for every negative fans can direct at Dan Burn. His leadership and attitude stand for more on the pitch. I agree with that. Oh. Liam says, can Paulinho play at centre back again, please? Liam says, main reason we beat Arsenal in the semi-final Emirates, forced them wide, no real aerial threat on the counter. And yeah, I think we'll be trying the same thing against Tottenham, isn't it? Liam says, Murphy comes in for Elanga. Okay, so you see that, like depth and taxes, nothing guaranteed, like a Murph GA against Spurs nemesis. Yeah, possibly. Though I do think though, Howe doesn't is it lives by the mantra: if it's not broke, don't fix it. I kind of see Elanga stick it staying on, but I can see what you're saying. Matt Lou, God bless you, Matt Lou, all the way from South Africa. Good to see you. Saar must play more. He's been good for Spurs. He might play as well in this game. Yeah, I think they're going to need some legs, and I think he'll make a difference to this team. Liam says Bergvar had a great 15 minutes end of first half. How put Kraft man marking to see out the half? He did. He did. He did. So there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Safe says we can't create chances. Safe. I don't know if it's your first time to the show, but big up to you. God bless you. Um, Liam says wasn't sure if dislike of Poro was a rival view. Is he quality if he's a player? Ash confirming my view. If he plays NUFC, win. Ouch. Yeah, I think his crosses are really, really good, but 1v1s and defending seems to be a big thing for him, issue for him. Aaron says, big up Ash, amazing insight as always. Absolutely. And great analysis. Absolutely. Liam says, no matter what Ash has said, we have to be wary of the ball over the top. Their speed on the break can hurt us. Absolutely. Absolutely. With Cody Mwani especially. Aaron says, I think the team how plays is unchanged, but Tonali comes in for Joe Linton. Has Joe Linton played two? Would this be Joe Linton's third game in a row? Or his first game back? I can't remember. He didn't play. Did he play against Marseille? No, he didn't. I think Joe Linton's got issues playing three in a row, I think, rather than two in a row. But if we keep Tonali, Miley, Joe Linton off, and Tonali on, and Bruno stays. Oh, I've got a player missing. That's why. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I have a player? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I was thinking, I think I had a player missing. I was thinking, why can I not get anybody to get Simmons? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Yeah. Could be. Bruno might stage or Linton off. Tonali on the left. He loves that position. The good thing is the main thing is that Howe has got what do you call it, options. Aaron says, I do feel Spurs will need more than overloading and spamming the crosses, but this would be a real test of Ramsdale command in his box. I feel we need to play aggressively with that 3-2-5 in transitions. I agree. We definitely do. We definitely have to be aggressive in our transitions. Aaron says, Bentacore isn't fast tracking back, so it's a good opportunity to have Tino running at their back line when he inverts. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I see Tonali coming back in as well. Jam Stasha says, I agree with Aaron that the team shit stays the same with Tonali and for Big Joe. I don't see Eddie leaving Tonali out again unless he's injured. Yeah, and he's not injured for sure. For sure. It's a guessing game at the moment. Like, at what stage is Bruno on that red or is he on the amber? Like, in terms of fitness, I don't know. Jam says, I know Willock has been better lately, but I wouldn't mind seeing Ramsey in with Tonali and Bruno. Yeah, yeah. And I think you probably see those changes in the second half. I thought Ramsey played well when he came on. Aaron says, our best midfield for me is Miley, Bruno, and Tonali. I need to see Tonali and Bruno as the eights. That'll be good. The team stays the same as Elanga needs the minutes because of his good performance, deserves his place. Yeah, I agree with that. Aaron says, I feel we can win this game 2-0 and overwhelm them. Another 2-0 victory. Guys, send in your predictions, send in your predictions, send in your predictions. And I'm going to give mine in a moment as well. Jam Stasha says, yeah, stick with Miley, but if Eddie is going to change anything in midfield, I wouldn't mind Ramsey in tomorrow and Big Joe or Willock in on Saturday against Burnley, isn't it? Another opportunity there. Another opportunity there. Jam Stasha says, I'm going to take another gulp and say we win 2-1. I know what you mean. All right, so I'm going to give mine. We played really, really well against Everton. And I thought we had a decent performance against Marseille, even though we lost. And we played even better against Man City. Spurs have weapons of their own. They've got quality players. For that, for sure, for sure, for sure. We cannot take anything they do for granted. But I think the Newcastle that played against Everton, Marseille, and Man City turns up. I think I see us winning this game as well. What would the scoreline be? I'm torn between a clean sheet and not. Um, mm, I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle. I'm gonna go for 2-1 Newcastle. I think Barnes gets on the score sheet, and I want to say Ilanga, but that would be like a no. I think Barnes and Voldemar from a cross or a set piece. I think we're getting better at set pieces. I wouldn't be surprised. 3-1 Newcastle. I say 3-1. I agree with Ash. I'm gonna go for 3-1 Newcastle. I can see us scoring from a set piece. Okay. So that was an absolutely brilliant show. Again, big up to Ash for coming on as well, especially when he's got a show of his own as well. He's been giving his analysis. So we did a review for the Everton game, which was really, really good game. We performed on so many different levels, seeing our fullbacks back, inverting, playing out wide, our ability to progress from in transitions as well as open play. We're scoring from set pieces, magnificent. And I'm doing the preview of Ash, and it feels like Tottenham internally and externally are going through so much at the moment as a club. Perhaps going to St. James Park is a relief at one end, but then maybe also on the pitch might not be such a relief either, especially when they're still trying to work themselves out, where Thomas Frank is trying to work out his team and what formation, what profile of player, what's the strongest side. His players are trying to work out when to press, when not to press. Ash made a point that West, Fulham are an average side and all that, but Tottenham really, really struggled, and I think Newcastle at the moment are playing, are hopefully getting into the stage where we can hit form. I think we're getting into that position, so really good to have Ashmatic on and talking all things Toon with him, and not Toon, but match preview and Spurs and the Toon. But you guys have been absolutely marvelous as always. We did more than 2 hours on the show today. Thank you for your likes, your shares, your subscribes, sending in your comments, sending in your questions, and sending in all your score predictions as well. As always, folks, make sure you take care of yourselves, and God bless, folks.